The Battle of Iwo Jima happened between the 19th of February 1945 and the 26th of March 1945. It was between the United States military and the Imperial Army of Japan. The United States wanted to capture the island of Iwo Jima from Japan. The island had 3 airfields that could be served as a staging facility for a potential invasion of the mainland of Japan. Past invasions during World War II, the Imperial Japanese Navy had been crippled. They had lost majority of their warplanes and also the ones that they were unable to protect the inner line of defences that were set up by the Empire's military leaders. This meant that this battle was going to be hard to defend on the Empire's island holdings, and this included the Marshall Archipelago. The American military leaders were given this information, meaning that they had an advantage. They were able to plan an attack on the island and thought that it would only last a few days. Despite thinking this, the Japanese had come up with a new defensive tactic. This tactic was to make use of the island's mountainous landscapes and the jungles to set up a camouflage artillery position. The US military had a problem when first landed on the island, when the beaches were made up of soft volcanic ash, which made it hard to walk and difficult for vehicles to drive on. This helped Kurabayashi, a general of the Imperial Japanese Army who helped plan the attack, plans of waiting until the beach was packed with US forces before the unleashing of the full force of heavy artillery. 70,000 US Marines landed on Iwo Jima, and over 5 weeks that they were there, it was estimated that there were more than 25,000 casualties. This included nearly 7,000 deaths. However, even though the Japanese were running low on supplies on, for example, weapons and food, it is believed that only 200 out of the 21,000 Japanese forces were killed on the island. Despite 300 of Kuribashi's men doing the final Banzai attack on the 25th of March 1945, the Americans put an end to the Iwo Jima battle. Joe Rosenthal was an American photographer and reporter that captured the raising of the flag on Iwo Jima. For this, he was granted the Pulitzer Prize for this iconic World War II photograph. Rosenthal was unable to join the US Army because the photographer had poor eyesight. As a result of this, he attended the University of San Francisco in 1941, where he then joined the United States Maritime Service as a photographer, where he served as a warrant officer documenting life on ships in the British Isles and North Africa. After doing this, Rosenthal then rejoined the Associated Press, AP, in 1944, where he followed the United States Army and the US Marine Corps in the Pacific Theater of Operations as a war correspondent at many places. This included Iwo Jima, where raising of the flag was taken. The iconic photograph was taken on the morning of February the 23rd, 1945. Only 4 days after the US Marines had landed on the island, despite the battle lasting 5 weeks. Rosenthal had heard that an American flag was being raised atop of Mount Suribachi, one of the volcanoes on the island. After hearing this, Rosenthal rushed towards the Suribachi with his speed graphic camera. Despite other small flags being raised, the photographer kept his attention on the bigger flag that was being prepared to be raised. He set his camera lens to f8 and f11 with a shutter speed of 1/400th of a second. When Rosenthal saw that the 6 Marines were starting to raise the flag, he pressed the shutter. After taking this photo, he then gathered everyone that had gone up on the Suribachi for a pose shot. The Raising the Flag film was sent to be developed and printed, and when the Associated Press photographer editor John Bodkin saw the photograph, he said, "Here's one for all time." He then transmitted it straight to the AP headquarters, and then it was picked up by hundreds of newspapers. It only took 17.5 hours after Rosenthal took the photograph to be published. After the battle was over, the photograph was used for posters in the war bond drives throughout 30 cities. The photograph became a symbol of victory for the American people.